Well, if you call yourself a sports fan, you've definitely watched a production from my guest today. He is Steve Winkler, president, executive producer at Winkler Productions, does work with all sorts of national, regional networks in the sporting landscape. And we're going to learn about his story, not just about what he's like in the truck and how he's been able to grow his career, but what's he like outside of it as well. And what about that college football career he had? We're going to talk about it all here on the On to Something podcast. I'm Bryan Fenley with Fox Sports Radio, on Twitter at Bryan Fenley. Steve, first of all, really have been looking forward to this conversation. I want to go back to William Jewell College, varsity football. If I was on your team and somebody said to me, "What do you think about Steve and his tenacity on the football field?" What am I going to say?
I can't believe you went back to my William Jewell days. Let me see. That's a good question. Football at William Jewell. I played 4 years of football there. One thing that people might find interesting is that I played a different position each year because I got bigger. I started out as a wide receiver and I ended up my senior year as a guard, an offensive guard. So I guess that was kind of an interesting, way to fill out my football career at William Jewell. But the other thing that was fun about William Jewell football at the time, and I'm going to date myself here, we shared the same training facilities and the same athletic fields and locker rooms and dining halls with the Kansas City Chiefs. That was their training facility for their preseason, as well as ours. So back in the day, that was when Hank Stram was their coach, Lenny Dawson was their quarterback, Buck Buchanan, Willie Lanier, Jan Stenerud, all those guys. I mean, that was a very storied franchise at that point, and we felt very honored and privileged to be sharing the same facilities as the Kansas City Chiefs with William Jewell College football. So just another little interesting tidbit for people that don't know much about William Jewell football.
Well, you brought up a storied franchise. I want to go to a storied season that you had at William Jewell when you all went undefeated through the regular season, if I'm not mistaken. The role that you played that year, what do you remember from that really successful season?
William Jewell is obviously a small college. At the time, they were an NAIA school. Had a very good reputation for having a good program in the NAIA over the years. So it was kind of cool to be part of that tradition of football excellence, so to speak, at William Jewell during the time I was there. So I think everybody on the team was proud that we were able to carry on that tradition that season, and it was a lot of fun, and again, I'll never forget it. But yeah, it was quite an accomplishment.
In you preparing for a game when you were in college, to you preparing towards assembling your team for a production, what similarities at all can you take from getting hyped up for a game in college and getting mentally ready for that to assembling a group to put on a broadcast, get it organized, and then put the thing on the air?
Yeah, my academic career at William Jewell it took kind of a different path too. I was a political science major, believe it or not. At one time, I aspired to be a lawyer, and political science was one of those undergraduate degrees that sort of lended itself for if you wanted to go on to law school. However, I kind of lost interest in the legal profession as I got further along at Jewell, and it was too late to change my major. So I continued with political science, not knowing what my future really held at the time. So, again, Jewel was a great school academically, and I felt like I got a great liberal arts education there. So, I ended up my first position out of college was at an advertising agency, believe it or not, which has nothing to do with political science. But that kind of got me into the field of marketing. And throughout my career, that evolved into bigger and more important marketing assignments, and then ultimately ended up in the production field later on in my career. So it was kind of an uncharted path for me as far as how I got into the production business, but it just kind of made sense as it went along, and it was very helpful that I had all the background and experience with people along the way that I did.
Steve Winkler is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. Speaking of those experiences, the people that have positively impacted you over the course of your career, how often do you go back to them or use what they say in terms of how you lead? What is your process for leading your company, and what you've learned from your experiences into forming the way in which you are wanting to run your business and to lead?
Yeah, I attribute a lot of my training and knowledge about the business and leadership and all that to my days at Anheuser-Busch. I was there 28 years, and it was a great company to work for along the way. Even though it was a publicly held company, it was run like a family business. The Bush family was in control the whole time I was there, and they really treated people fairly, honestly, and it was like one big family working at a huge corporation, which is unusual. I think, a lot of people I don't think had ever had the pleasure of experiencing something like that. And I don't know if you've talked to other people along the way that have worked at Anheuser-Busch in various capacities, but I think you would hear the same thing from them as well. It was, they had a motto: making friends is our business. And I think that's kind of sums it up in a nutshell. I try to be as fair to people as I can, and also have kind of a friendly approach to the way I operate our business. I enjoy working with people that I know and trust, obviously, but at the same time, we try to keep it loose, and I don't ever want to have a situation in any of our productions where people feel intimidated or tense or anxious about things. That's not a good work environment, and I think back to my days at Anheuser-Busch, we fostered a very friendly environment, working environment. And that's what I've tried to pass along to the people that work for us.
You've created this warm environment, which is conducive to getting the best out of your employees and when you're working on a production. As far as the way in which you're able to get the best out of them, you being an influencer, you being a motivator, you leading things and setting up a production, what do you feel like you do that allows everyone around you the best way to see them succeed or to set themselves up to best succeed? What does that take from you in you doing that and seeing it come to fruition?
One of the keys with me, and I've done this since day one when I started my company, I never tried to make this company bigger than myself. I tried to keep it at a level where I could be personally involved with almost every project that we take on, and I've managed to do that. And I think, to answer your question, The fact that people, know that it's a Winkler Productions project, but when they see me show up on site and be part of it and interact with everybody from talent all the way down to the utilities on site, I think that's the difference. I enjoy being part of our productions. I enjoy being there in person. And I think the fact that people see me and relate to me and know that I take the time to show up and to be part of it, I think that's key. So maybe that's part of why we've had the success we've had.
That's got to bring a lot of reassurance to your clients, and obviously them seeing you there definitely has to boost just the staying power of what you're doing, showing how much you care. Steve Winkler is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. What avenue of this business, Steve, do you find yourself loving to challenge yourself the most in? What about it do you love the challenge, the chase? What avenue would that be?
I still tell my wife and kids and grandkids now, they said, Papa, when are you going to stop working? And, I always say, I will walk away when I feel like I don't enjoy it anymore. And I do truly enjoy what I do. I still think, even to this day, even though I've been doing this many, many years, it's still fun. It's still fun. And it's still a challenge to assemble a team, to put all the facilities together that you need to produce a high quality show. And that part of it is enjoyable to me. So I think the constant challenge and the fact that, we always try to set the bar higher all the time. In fact, the call I was just on, we talked about our past productions this year with college basketball. And, I asked our client, ESPN, if, they had any feedback for us, because we always strive to, know what did we do good? What could we improve upon? And those are things that I take very seriously. So, those are things that I like to hear. And I think it pays dividends in the end. So again, we're always looking for the next challenge, and also to make our productions better than they were the day before.
What ultimately gives you the most, the fulfillment, purpose in what you do? You talked about the enjoyment, but what about this in your pursuit of sports media and production just makes you feel alive, gives you that sense of purpose where you realize that this is something you've always wanted to do, always wanted to set off on?
Yeah, I think, the fact that we're in a very dynamic industry, television production, and now it's part television, part streaming. We're involved in producing content that people want to see. And I think that in itself is very appealing. We're able to provide something that people are looking for. And sports programming is one of those things that it's kind of a release for people, to get away from the everyday grind and to get, away from all the other distractions and enjoy something that they want to see. So I think the fact that we are part of that process and bringing content to people that is fun and that's enjoyable and that gets people hopefully away from things that they don't want to do maybe for a while, that part of it's very satisfying.
You brought up your family, your wife, and obviously you being a grandfather. If we were, and just this is sort of a hypothetical question, Steve, if you had like a big family get together and you were streaming that, what kind of Steve Winkler am I going to see with all the family around? What am I going to learn about you with everybody in the house? Say it's for a holiday, all the families together.
you know, I hope I hope you'd see, you know, a lot of people having fun. You know, we try to keep it loose. We love, my wife and I love to have the family over. You know, you know, in fact, we just had an Easter celebration here over the weekend. You know, it's a pleasure to host our family, and it's, you know, the kids and the grandkids, and the interaction that we have with all of them. You know, it's just it's a pleasure, and you know, I think again, I try to treat my family like I treat the people that work for us the same way. You know, just, you know, I want everybody to come and feel welcome, and feel uninhibited, and just feel like they can be themselves. And that's, you know, I think that's all anybody would want.
And you've been yourself ever since that football player in college that played a different position every year. William Jewell College, varsity 4 years, Steve Winkler, then turning it into his own production company, president, executive producer at Winkler Productions. He's fun, he's professional, whether it's with his family or friends or in the workplace. The guy is a star. And Steve, I appreciate you so much for giving us a little bit of introspection on your life, not just the business side of things, but your family and what has allowed you to succeed and will continue to succeed in this business. Steve, appreciate you once again. I'm Bryan Fenley.
Thank you.